Hello and welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ewan, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Shannon.
Hello.
Brody.
Hello.
And James.
Hello.
Today on the show, we're going to be talking about LEGO 2K Drive, the new Unreal editor coming to Fortnite, MultiVersus going offline, kinda, and Resident Evil 4 some more. But first, James, I believe you went to Lush today and bought some Mario-themed stuff. Is that right? Was I following the conversation before the show correctly?
Yeah, I was just walking through the product range with Shannon, just to make sure.
It's true.
So what did you get? Like, what are Lush selling that's Mario-related? Lush being the soap store? Is that like a fair
They're handmade cosmetics, apparently. So, I don't know. I'm obviously not a regular Lush shopper, as my tweets have alluded to. But yeah, they're doing a... Should I do this as a video? I guess we can now, right?
We can, yeah. It's a video version of the podcast available on our
so
YouTube.
they have like a Mario shower gel, which is exciting. That's got a cola smell. I was going to say flavor.
Is the bottle red or is the liquid red as well?
The gel is red.
Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a hot sauce.
Well, it's a cola shower gel, Ewan. Don't get confused. The Luigi shower gel is a apple, crisp apple, not any normal apple, just crisp apple.
Amazing.
This is the peach shower jelly.
Oh.
How does it differ from the shower gel?
Yeah, is it like...
Yeah, it's a jelly.
Flatness?
It's like a loofah, allegedly.
I don't want to like get it on my...
Can you put your
like
fingers
wobbles?
It looks kind of foamy.
Can I? Do you want me to? Like, I will.
We might have to blur it, but just do
Against
it.
the mic.
Do you know what? I'll do that to the next one. It feels more
Now
appropriate if I do it to the next
Well,
one.
let's do that at the end. Let's keep people hanging around.
The next one looks like Bowser's ass.
Let's keep people hanging around because I'm sure they haven't like tagged that already. Anyway, so this one is the peach shower jelly. It smells like when I'm sick, like as a kid, and I have to have that like cough medicine that smells. Anyway, it's not a nice smell. But then we've got the Bowser shower jelly, and this is the one that I will proudly stick my finger in.
Do it near the mic.
It looks like this, and it's
kind of like an orangey sort of color.
ooh, it's like cinnamony.
Oh,
and spicy.
probably not what I would expect Bowser to smell like, truthfully.
Oh, it's like actually quite hard.
Oh
like,
yeah, it's much more like putty-like than I thought.
Yeah.
Break
It
the
looks
skin.
like that kind
I
of
don't
fart
wanna-
putty that you get from
No, you can't. I don't think you're
gift
meant to,
stores
Brody.
at the museum.
I don't think you're meant to use it.
No, you are. You're meant to pull the whole thing out and wash yourself with it, apparently. But anyway,
Oh
that's
dear.
a story for another day. Uh-oh.
You're
And
gonna
then
have to tell us what it's like after you use it in the shower.
I will. I'll tweet it.
Put up
It'll
a
be like
TikTok guide on how to use it.
We're starting to break into video content. Why ruin that by doing a series of me using less products? And the final piece that I got is the coin, which is like a soap bar.
Oh,
That's one that
neat.
looks like
that's
piss,
cute.
isn't it?
No, there's like a
That's a
bath
bath
bomb,
bomb.
but like
That looks
I'm
like the
not
question
much of a bather, so I didn't really see the need to get that. But that's like like when it dissolves as an item inside, that's really cool.
I've seen some pictures of
this
people
is
using it.
really
It's
cool.
grotesque.
This is the coin soap, so that's exciting times. But yes, that's my range. Thanks for coming.
If you don't mind me asking, like, what does this all set you
Sure.
back? That seems
I
like
don't
quite
know.
a lot
I
of
didn't wanna look.
expensive stuff.
What is money?
I think it was. I think it was like $150 for
Yeah,
everything.
it's very expensive.
Yeah.
No,
bloody
this will
hell.
last me for the rest of my life, basically. So, yeah, it's fine. This is my first. I buy skincare, like so. This to me, this is cheap. But
Right, yeah.
yeah. Thank you for letting me have my first step into beauty
was
and wellness blogging.
Very interesting. Thank you. My
It
girlfriend's
is.
trying
You'll
to
be
get me
Gwyneth
into
Paltrow before
skincare.
you know it.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think Lush is great for like your body. I don't think it's very good for your face if you're a skincare person. But
Oh, okay.
That's another topic
Podcast within a podcast.
for
Skincare
another
facts with
day.
James.
We've got so many backdoor pilots, like between the fast food and the beauty products. What's next?
Who
Pork
knows?
belly
You'll have to
bites.
stick around to find out. I'll tell you what's next on this show, though, and that is some reviews with Brody, which almost feels like it should have a jingle to it in itself. But Brody, I want to start with Dredge, which you reviewed in the week. I've heard very good things about this game from Shannon, actually. He was talking about it a week or so ago. He was. So I'll get his thoughts on it in a moment as well. But let's start with you. How did you review the game?
Well, I played it for a start. That's usually how you go.
That's a start.
Yeah,
doing well.
no.
When I say how did you review the game?
I know,
Not
Yui,
literally.
it's banter. Yeah, look, Dredge. I've been telling a lot of people at work about it. It's basically a horror fishing game, which is as silly as it sounds. It's pretty simple. Like you crash into this series of islands. You sort of trade favors, obviously being fishing, not anything sinister, for a replacement vessel, and then you go to work, basically just fishing. But
Can I trade favors sinisterly if I want to?
you can read between the lines if you like, as you can probably infer your own story. But nevertheless, yeah. So basically, it's a pretty simple fishing game. You sort of you obviously catch fish, and then you sell them back to the fishmonger and stuff like that at the start. But then, as you go out night fishing, it turns really sinister, and there's a real eldritch horror sort of theme to the whole thing. Loosely put, I would probably say that this very much reminded me of a Pokemon game, but like on the ocean, because like one of the big points of it is going out, filling your encyclopedia of all these. You got fish, you got sharks, you got squid, you got eel, everything that you can catch. But then, like when you're out at night, you can catch like twisted aberrations of them that mutate in the night sea. So that's like one big part of it. But obviously, there's like a story that drives it along that's very Lovecraftian and very mysterious throughout the way. But it's a simple game. It's got a pretty striking art style, but it's super addictive. Like I just found, like I couldn't really put it down. Like, it's a front runner for obviously my indie game of the year so far. But it's one of the best games I've played this year so far. Full stop. Like,
yeah,
I
you
like
really
it a lot.
captured my interest. I thought it was kind of like, I don't know, the way my initial thought of it, hearing Shannon describe it, was like it kind of sounded like an indie game with kind of an environmental message to it. I guess like Dredge being the name, maybe that's just kind of the association that attached to it. But I didn't expect the horror angle.
That's obviously another part of it. Now that you mention it, obviously it's in the title. But along with catching fish, like you pull junk and materials and all that sort of stuff off the seafloor. Along the way, you'll find like artifacts, which is sort of like the main thing that drives the story along. Like there's a collector who tasks you with like finding 5 mysterious artifacts that he's after for whatever reason, which you obviously find out later, and return them to him. And so to do that, you basically have to go to like each one of the big 5 islands, and each one has a different sort of like twist to it. Like one's like leftover like Roman, I guess like statues and stuff. Another one is like a twisted sort of like bamboo-y sort of viney sort of place where like your boat can get tugged down and like destroyed basically. So they're all a bit different and they offer something different. The only thing that I didn't love was that the game doesn't necessarily funnel you in one way or the other, so it is open in that sense, but there are certain places that you can't go, and you do find that out because you don't have the abilities to get there yet or to do anything meaningful there. So you'll waste a bit of time if you don't necessarily go in the right direction first. But that said, yeah, still super addictive. I need to get back into finishing it and catching all the fish. But really had a good time with it.
Very cool. Is that one that's available on consoles? On Switch or just Xbox?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Switch,
it's on
PC,
Switch.
and it's on PS5 and Xbox. I think it's on pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's everything. It also gets physical releases this week, which I think is cool and unexpected, and I'm going to get one.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking of buying it for Switch.
My Switch has been looking a little bit lonely recently. I thought about picking up and installing some stuff on it. So this might be one I do. And
due to the day-night cycle part of it, like saving comes often. So like it's a good game that you can sort of pick up and play in bursts like that. So definitely good for the Switch.
Cool, nice. The other one I wanted to ask you about as well was Terra Nil, which you also reviewed this week. You've been busy. Did you want to say a quick word on that one too?
Yeah, another good game. Like I don't play a lot of city builders, although I allude to them. Like I think I haven't played one since SimCity on the Super Nintendo back have to be 20, 25 years ago. But that said, I thought this was a pretty cleverly done twist on that. It sort of gives... that said, I can't remember how SimCity was or how it is these days, but it's a lot of like multi-phased levels that obviously focus on different stages of like restoring this environment, basically reintroducing flora and fauna to it, but then breaking down every sign that you were ever there and like leaving, I guess, like an ideal world, basically, where we haven't fucked everything up, essentially. So I think in a lot of ways it sort of delivers that sort of like environmental message, and it does a pretty good job of that. It's fairly educational as well. Like I learned a little bit of stuff about climates and all that sort of stuff, and biomes and different I guess requirements for life in general. Yeah, and it was pretty relaxing. It was a very zen sort of game, like nice little piano and orchestral soundtrack to back it all. Cutesy sort of pixel art style, and it's not terribly long, but it's once you got into the rhythm of each level, like obviously irrigating the world and making it suitable for life, reintroducing all the biomes like the wetlands and like forests and stuff, but then reintroducing the life, and then sort of having to recycle it all and get out of there. Like it was like puzzle layers on top of puzzle layers, so I thought it was pretty well done, and I had a good time with it. But yeah,
cool. Sounds like you've been playing some good games recently. I had a brief opportunity to play some Chia in the week as well. I was actually around paying my mum a visit, and she was very excitedly showing me the game, and so I kind of, with her, went back and played the first couple hours. And really fun. I was enjoying that. And speaking of Zen games, very much kind of got that feel to it as well. Like, that was a world I felt like I could really lose some time exploring. And another one on my list. But you've added two more that have piqued my interest there, Brody. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on those. All right, let's crack on with the show. And I want to start with LEGO 2K Drive officially being revealed. We discussed this one, I think it was just last week when leaks were starting to appear, but we finally know more about the game. We didn't have long to wait for it. It is coming out May 19th to pretty much everything. The game's going to be an open world driving adventure centered around vehicle creation, obviously, seeing as it's LEGO, with both single-player narrative-driven gameplay and cooperative multiplayer as well. I took to Twitter to describe it basically as Burnout Paradise, but with Lego, which excites me greatly, being as big a fan of both as I am. Shannon, how would you describe this game, and is it one that catches your interest?
I'd describe it as like Forza, but Lego. I think we spoke about it seeming like the Forza expansion last week, and after watching the trailer, I feel like it pretty much is that, for better or for worse. It looks really good. I don't think it'll do anything too crazy outside of that. And I guess because we did have that in Forza Horizon, which is, in my opinion, one of the best racing games. Like, I feel like, it's a little bit less exciting because we have seen this type of Lego racing game before. I don't want to take away from it because I'm sure it might still be great. But the building element is really exciting. I think that's what excites me most, because I don't really think that was a part of Forza at all from memory. I think it was purely just pick and drive, but I could be wrong.
James, have you played any of the Lego racing games before? Because it's people brought to my attention that the fact that I have done standalone Lego races before.
Yeah, I played it on like PS1 or 64. I can't remember where or when. As I have alluded to quite eloquently before, I hate kart races because I'm not very good at them. I don't know what it is. I just can't grasp them. I've never really liked racing games either. So yeah. But yeah, I think that there will be a lot of people who have that nostalgia for like Lego races and who will grab this because of that. Whether it meets those expectations or not, we will have to wait and see. But yeah.
I do very much like in the gameplay that we saw, or the trailer at least, the kind of quick switching between the vehicles, and the fact that there's like water vehicles in there as well. It's not just all land vehicles, I guess, cars. Hopefully that is as kind of fluid as an experience, like as you're exploring the world, as it indicates to be.
It reminds me of like Diddy Kong Racing in a weird kind of way, like the actual racing elements of it, which a lot of people love. I think there's a lot that can be done in this space, so I'm hopeful it does some different things. It looks cool. Just watching the trailer again, I am keen for it.
Brody, what about yourself? Like, Lego have had some ups and downs when it comes to come to some of their releases, particularly when they kind of stray out of the movie sort of tie-in sort of stuff, I suppose. What would you need to see from the game to have you spend some time with it, do you think? Invest your time in it.
And $100.
Yeah,
true.
That's probably the big issue. Like, as Shannon alluded to, like, I spent a lot of time with Forza Horizon 5, which is arguably probably one of the best open world racing games I've ever played. So like, I don't know that I necessarily need something else in that space. Like, I almost would have been excited if this was more a kart racer that was just tracks and stuff. Like, that might have appealed to me more. But I guess the one thing they could do is, make good use of a lot of those, like, IP partnerships that they will have, and, like, bring some of that interesting stuff across, like whether it's DC stuff or Harry Potter or something like that. Not that that's an interest of mine, but, you see where I'm going. But yeah, just bring stuff like that across to try and, I guess spice it up a bit. Because, the only thing that would appeal to me out of this is probably the fact that you can build your own cars and stuff. But I think even that novelty will wear off pretty quickly for me.
Yeah. I'm eager to see what they do there. Like, I like the way Forza kind of allow you to just share vehicle customizations with people. And if this had kind of a marketplace for people to kind of design cars and share them, I think that would be
That would have to. Same with, like, track creation will have to, surely be a thing.
Yeah, I very much hope that's a feature, because I think that's where arcade games can do really well, is if they've got like just totally zany track creators where people go wild to them. I've certainly spent a lot of time on GTA doing exactly that. So
hopefully it's not like another Hot Wheels Unleashed, which was really good, but probably didn't really have the splash that it should have, I guess.
Yeah, that's a game I regret dropping like $80 on to download there and then, because I wanted some friends wanted to play it that night, and I just never touched it again thereafter.
You and the big spender.
Regrets, yes. Well, speaking of marketplaces and sharing creations, at GDC, Epic revealed the Unreal editor for Fortnite, which will allow people to create and publish content directly into Fortnite and get compensated through a creator economy. It's obviously all powered by Unreal Engine, and 40% of item shop revenue that Epic will be making off kind of in-game transactions in Fortnite is going to be set aside and enter a pool that's paid out to creators based on the engagement of their creations. Shannon, we've been discussing for a little while how to support games and communities long term. I think we'll be discussing more of that in a moment too, actually. What advantage might these content creation tools have in terms of keeping waning Fortnite players around?
It's a tough one. I guess when we talk about like Roblox, I feel like I haven't played Roblox from what I know about it. Like, it's so popular and successful with kids because like there's just all different types of experiences on it in terms of like TV show recreations and things like that. And I feel like that, but for Fortnite, in terms of people creating their own games, will bring freshness that keeps people around, but also brings, I think, new players in and younger players maybe as well. Like, it's definitely a positive move. I just don't. It's a tough one because Fortnite is such, like, it's one experience that everyone has, and I feel like that has been the excitement of it, right? Like, when there's a new season, maybe it's losing that a little bit now, but like these huge events where whether it be Ariana Grande or like these huge simultaneous events is the one thing it has over almost any other game, and I feel like this does dilute that a little bit, but it's exciting. Like, a lot of the stuff looked fantastic.
I was going to ask if you'd seen any of the kind of tech demos that they showed off. It looks visually incredible, but I guess it depends on how consuming a task is for people to make that sort of thing. Well, you mentioned Roblox there. I did want to bring into the equation too PlayStation's Dreams, or Media Molecule's Dreams, because that's kind of something that very much leaned heavily into the user-generated content sort of angle, pretty much as like the crux of the game, but doesn't seem to have had the same luck as, say, Roblox in kind of attracting a community that kind of keeps the game perpetually moving. How does Fortnite here on out attract creators and I suppose players to engage with the content that people are creating? James, do you have any inkling as to how they do that?
I think from like just comparing to Roblox is on, it's not on every device, but I think it's on every mobile device to start off with. It's on Xbox accessible. 2 and PC, and it's free to start, obviously. I think most parents will be like, no, it's not really free, but you know what I mean? Like it starts off as free. So I think there's like a very, very, very low barrier to entry, regardless of whether you want to just play or create, which is probably like, say, where you would say differentiate it from Dreams, where you have to own a PlayStation, which most people do. But like, do you know what I mean? You've got to buy that PlayStation plus buy that game on top. And even then that game was not necessarily circulated as well as it probably could have been. But yeah, I think with Roblox, like it shocks me to find that there's actually games that play similarly to like COD and like classic Resident Evil, and then there's also just things where you can just build, whatever you want. I think I think with Fortnite and this whole system, like, yes, there is that big audience there already, but is that the audience who is going to be wanting to create stuff? Like, I think there's going to be some crossover, but I definitely don't know if that's going to be like 100% of the crossover, if that makes sense. And like the way that I see that, maybe they could easily work it into the battle pass. Everyone plays feverishly for their battle pass. Maybe have some kind of extra tier or extra awards for doing user created content over other stuff potentially. Like, I feel like that could be a way to maybe force people to, maybe not force them, but you know what I mean, like kind of get them into that ecosystem. But yeah,
they've done a good job in Fortnite of like kind of spotlighting stuff made in the creative mode quite well. I'm forgetting what it's called now, but like there's obviously been creation tools in the game already, and they've kind of done a pretty good job of giving a spotlight to some of the higher quality stuff that people have produced. But yeah, a lot of it it's kind of always the same with this sort of thing. A lot of it's just kind of like weird sort of challenges, maybe like parkour sort of things, like quick respawn sort of challenges. Like nothing particularly compelling. And yeah, like hopefully this kind of suite of tools like does have the functionality for people to create like really quite involved things. But how much of that we'll see, I'm not sure. Like I think the compensation element to it's great, and I think that people investing the time in it getting compensated is like a big part of this. But a lot of it comes down to just like how accessible these tools are to, and how well they're then surfaced to people as well. What about yourself, Brody? Like, how do you feel they're handling the compensation side of this? Is this the most equitable way to pay people for putting into the game, essentially?
Yeah, admittedly, I haven't really looked too much into it. So based on like the previous question, or at least the fact that you put in there, so is it 40% of every sale they get effectively?
So like the revenue that they're making from like item shop, the cosmetics people are buying in the game, the skins, presumably extends like battle pass and stuff. They're setting aside 40% of that revenue and then splitting it. Like if your level got 50% of the time people spent in the Unreal editor playing the content coming out of there, if they spent that with your game, then you would get half of the money that's in that pool. Essentially, it's based on the engagement with your content.
Yeah, look, I think that sounds fair enough, personally, considering they're supplying all the tools for you to do it. There's little to no investment on your end as a creator, so except for your time, obviously. But so I'd say 40%, and a split of that is pretty fair. It's going to be interesting. A lot of the stuff I've seen looks really nice, but
do you fear there might be people that just like play Fortnite and games that people make within Fortnite and never touch any other game?
Do I fear that?
Yeah,
I fear a lot of things, Ewan, but I don't know.
That
if
already
I care.
happens with
I don't know
Roblox.
if I care about that.
It may already
people
happen.
play like a pet simulator and all that kind of shit. Like, I don't even know what that is, but like that's a game within Roblox that you can buy merch for. Like there are people like that.
Yeah,
maybe people grow up and their brains develop more, and then they can. But no, I'm not even like, as a kid, your brain hasn't developed yet, so I don't know. I don't mean to put down any adults playing in the Roblox ecosystem exclusively, but
are there adults playing Roblox? Like, that's a genuine question.
I don't know. I feel
I
like
don't personally know any, but that's not saying that they don't exist.
Fascinating.
I feel like if I was an adult playing Roblox online,
you wouldn't.
I probably wouldn't tell
broadcast
anyone.
it.
But
Yeah,
like
A fun challenge for us all to be would play nothing but Roblox for a week and then report back. And like,
I would rather give birth to a chair.
James is too
honestly,
busy with Resident Evil still.
Yeah, I've got 10 more playthroughs to go next week. Yeah.
All right, well,
I don't know, what were we talking about? I feel like I just derailed.
I'll tell you what we're going to talk about now, and that is MultiVersus going offline, kind of, sort of. It's the open beta that's going to be wrapping up June 25th ahead of a full launch next year. James, I might come straight back to you on this one, because I think of the four of us, you might be the only person to have played MultiVersus all that much, but I was under the assumption that this game was out. I didn't realize it was in an open beta, and like certainly not one as extended as this. Yeah,
think
like
everybody was.
does this strike you as being a bit odd?
I think the developer was too, until about a month ago. But does it strike me as odd? Yes, it does. However, I do feel like, and I've always said this to Shannon, I like destroyed MultiVersus for like a good month or two, I think.
Yeah.
And then the content kind of stopped coming. There was just like less character drops. They did a new season, but it would be like it just wasn't a lot of stuff coming, which they've acknowledged in their statement and stuff. What I think has happened here, like obviously, is I feel like it was definitely like, yes, it was an open beta, but like this was it. They were just going to keep adding to it. But I've talked about this before. I think they've been hit with just like so many like hurdles throughout the way. Like I think their first major character pack drop was going to be all Lord of the Rings stuff. And obviously this is all conjecture, so like I might be talking out of my ass, but it seems to be that way given what was left in the updates and the files and stuff. Like Amazon bought the Lord of the Rings after that,
right.
And then they had to scrap work they'd done on like 3 characters, you know what I mean, and shuffle their release schedule.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I think,
like
really got in the way.
Rick and Morty as well, like planned to be included at some point.
Yeah,
I think they got added.
Something else.
And then
Rick and Morty eventually got added, and then obviously the Justin Roiland stuff happened, and that's like since
Harry Potter as well. I don't know if you mentioned that, but obviously,
yeah, Harry Potter's an obvious pick, but and then obviously there's a bit of drama there, but like I just think like
a bunch of problematic territory.
There's been a bit of like a lot of the stuff they've been wanting to do with it. I think they haven't been able to. They've had to keep chopping and changing, and that just makes it really hard to keep steady. I don't think this was ever planned. Like I think letting people buy. Which is the
I don't know if that's right, but I remember I was really confused about why it was still an open beta, because they had like 3 or 4 betas and alphas, like they'd had all their tests, and then when this dropped, it was an open beta, and to me, it made no sense calling it that.
That's why, yeah, I like it was pretty polished from
it was
the start,
the final game.
Yeah, like each new character that would come out would be in experimental for like a few weeks, so then they would adjust them as they needed to. But it felt finished in terms of like the underlying mechanics and stuff. Like I think that there's definitely more they could do content wise, and I genuinely think that this is the problem. But they probably have seen, like, I mean, this was like the fastest growing fighting game I think ever for a bit, and obviously that was free, so that would be why.
Yeah.
But it's all about, with all of these games as a service games, like it's all about sustaining that attention. And I think this had the potential to do it. But yeah, it didn't.
God, it's shocking to me that it's going down in June and not coming back until next year. Like if they were like, oh, we're going to take it down for a month to relaunch some stuff, I'd be like, yeah, okay, you want to rework the netcode or add X, Y, and Z and come back with a bang. But to take it down for 6 to 9 months at the least, like that is a chunky period of time for those people that are still playing it, which isn't many. But like, it's such a risky move.
I truthfully, I don't see it playing out all that well for them. It's like I was talking about Suicide Squad recently about how that delay almost seemed to be like putting some distance between the negative press and having another opportunity at remarketing the game. And I sort of feel like that's what they're trying to do with this. Like, it's like, oh, let's just pretend like this was all just a test and the full game is going to get like all the marketing spend again, and we'll have another crack at kind of giving this some longevity. But maybe it is also just kind of buying them some kind of quiet time to like put together a post-launch plan and have plenty of content to kind of see out like a year's run at least, because that seems to have fallen by the wayside, at least in their initial attempt.
Because it's free and it was always going to be free at launch. I think the Founders Pack was just that, like a Founders Pack in early access.
Yeah.
That's what's confused. Like, are they going to come back and charge $60 for it with a story? Like, their options are really limited.
That's also what was blowing my mind, is like I didn't realize like there were purchasable things within this as well. Like, if this is an open beta, like people who's buying stuff in a beta? And like, yes, they've clarified that all of those sales are going to carry forward into the full game, but they're not allowing you to do any refunds. Like, Brody, what's your gut feel on that? I as I understand it, you haven't touched any multiverse, but like if you were buying stuff in there and the game's kind of going offline, like, does any of that sit well with you?
Yeah, if you trust that it is going to come back and it's going to be the game it was. Like, it's going to be... My interest is going to be... Because, like, I've heard of some things about this today, obviously, just all the conjecture about it. Like, whether it is going to come back as a free-to-play game or whether they might have to pivot to a more finished model because they can't sustain the content for whatever reason. So, yeah, if it comes back and you've already spent a fair wad on it and they expect you to pay again, you would be a little miffed. But surely they've got ideas about how they navigate that, because that would just be an absolute mess. So when did this game come out? Was it August or something?
July 2022.
July. Right, okay. I was just trying to work out if it was going to be gone again for as long as it's been out already.
Funny about that?
It's
the longest beta in history.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning.
12 months.
It's worth mentioning that the game is going to be playable offline, and like the training and stuff. So you're technically going to have the game, and if you want to play it with friends and whatever,
you're going to have like the bare minimum of the game to kind of tide you over for a year.
It's just something, I think something has really happened behind the scenes. Because like I remember when like they released it a week after they did LeBron for Space Jam. And then like they launched season 1 with like art of Black Adam and Stripe from Gremlins. But then the next characters were Morty and Gizmo. Like it was a weird, like nothing, like why was season 1 like with those characters?
Issue
and then
sorry, I was going to say, a big issue is that I think Warner Brothers IP does just not run deep enough to keep people giving a shit about these characters. Like,
especially not if Amazon's poaching
I know what you
stuff
mean.
like the Lord of the Rings off them.
Like I know Gremlins, like obviously, like that's
a deep cut.
That's a very specific market, and it sucks because like all of these characters, were really good. Like they paid as much, I guess, like love and attention to like like Nintendo did for Smash Bros. Like there were bits from all the movies for Gizmo and Stripe and stuff. And then Marvin the Martian, I think, was the last character they did. So like they launched season 2 in November 2022. They did Marvin the Martian, and then that was it. Like nothing else after that.
I don't even remember that happened. So that's
Black Adam happened in October, but obviously the movie was shit. So like
The Rock just kills everything at the minute, doesn't he?
I think they were trying to do it like Fortnite, where like they had these like key marketing beats that they would, and then they'd chuck out a character that was related to that.
Yeah.
But then it just never came out.
I think if this was like Marvel and Disney, or like a Disney fighter, like it'd just be a different situation.
But to be fair, like they also didn't have they have heavy hitters. Like they could have put out Harry or like Scorpion or Sub-Zero or like I'm going up blank. But anyone DC who isn't already that wasn't Black Adam.
It's also just like Lego Dimensions flopped, and I wonder why. Like with The Simpsons and Harry Potter, like that just
I think that was
nothing.
a price thing.
It was expensive. You're right.
That was very expensive, and it was like trying to market towards
which I'm so disappointed about because that was such a good game.
But I'm sad about this. I can't even tell you why I stopped playing it because I was
genuinely,
really
like,
into it. It was good.
The game is good. The game is really good. And even like I think Ranked took months to come out, and then like I know one of my friends dropped off because he really liked playing Ranked and just couldn't because they just kept pushing that back. Like it's weird, but like I think like Final Fantasy 14 as an example had a disastrous launch, and now that's one of the strongest, longest running MMOs ever, like with the relaunch. So I think it's possible. I mean, these are very different types of games, of course. But yeah, I am weary at this stage.
I think it'll come back and it'll have a good result, but then I would be surprised if it doesn't fall away in a similar pace again.
Even like Sesame Street, like imagine beating the shit out of someone as Big Bird. Like how fun would that?
Here's a few of the IPs they could bring into this game. You got Austin Powers. Imagine that.
Already amazing.
The Matrix.
Oh, the Matrix out.
There was files for Neo in the game. So he was playing.
Yeah.
Have they got a Game of Thrones in there?
Yeah.
They got Arya. And then Danny was rumoured.
The Godfather, apparently. The Flintstones.
Say Yabba Dabba Doo. Like...
Get Pennywise up in there.
Oh, yeah.
Biting heads. King Kong. Shit. The Mask. The list goes on.
Just like all
Godzilla,
of HBO fall into
The Wizard of Oz. Scooby-Doo, apparently.
Was in
Shaggy's
the
in there.
files. Scooby-Doo, and so's Velma. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yogi
Witch
Bear.
Wizard of Oz is in the files.
That's about it. Space Ghost. Thundercats. But
God,
that's
I feel like their time in a lot of those is running out in terms of relevance. They just need to get a few
You would
of those
argue.
out.
Run out.
you would argue it's gone. Mad Max, if he's not in there already.
Well,
No, he's
we
not.
will
Sorry.
have to see how it all pans out. I hope the best for MultiVersus, particularly for your sake, James and Shannon. But let's...
No, it's fine. I'll be okay if it doesn't. But like,
With the
I would love
14
it to
other
come
fighting
back, but
games
I'm not-
coming this year.
Very true.
There's 3 coming, maybe. Anyway.
At the very least, James, you'll have updates to Resident Evil 4 with the Mercenaries mode being confirmed.
Exactly.
It pits players against the clock, trying to kill as many enemies as they can, and it's coming as a free update to the remake on April 7th. James, make a pitch. Why should people give this mode a go?
Because it's good.
Real convincing. Thank you.
No, it's just like I feel like everyone's kind of wanted this mode to come back properly for a long time. They did it in Village, but it wasn't the same. And I think the reason why it's more exciting now is I feel like if you guys have played Resi 4, which I know most of you have at least
Playing, haven't finished.
pressed X on your home screen and got to the title screen. This combat is like the best it's ever been. So this definitely feels like the best time to bring it back.
Yeah.
And also obviously this mode was in the original too. But yeah, what it is like it chucks you into like one of 4 maps if it's the same. Pick a character. They all have their own move lists and weapon sets, and you just got to try and like survive. And I know that sounds like typical, like in terms of just like a wave-based survival arena or something. But there's something about Mercenaries that's like just really addictive and really fun because you kill enemies in like in a chain. You get a point. You get like bonus points and stuff. Like it's all about like getting the perfect chain and the perfect combo. And it keeps throwing different stuff at you.
The 3DS game was good. That was a banger. That was very, very early on, wasn't it?
That is a
In the
banger, and I
3DS
wish
life.
that was early. That was like almost launch, I think. But that's what annoys me is like Capcom's never done that. They could easily, with what they've got now, do a platform where you have all these characters, all these levels, all of these monsters, and you just create this like updated Mercs package with online or something. Even the 3DS one had online. But yeah, like I don't know. I wish that that would happen, but it isn't. So this is the best we're getting.
Side note, is ReVerse a thing still? Did that come back?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Do we not talk
Okay,
about
let's
it?
leave it there. I just honestly don't remember that being discussed.
No, yeah,
Why?
that's. I played it for a night. One, but it was alright.
Which is, I mean, really telling if that's all James...
If you only played it once.
But that's the same thing. Like they were like free updates, and then all they added. Think of all the characters in the Resident Evil games you guys have played alone. Right?
Thousands.
No.
Cast of 7.
And then they add the 4 soldiers that were with Chris in Village. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that's who are they? Like
Icons.
anyway.
Flesh them
Absolutely.
out, at least.
I didn't even know they had names to start off with, but yeah. I think you should. Yeah, I think if you like the combat in this, like, I don't see why you wouldn't like Mercs. It is a very arcadey experience, but it's really fun.
Well, sticking with RE4 a moment longer, data miners also found hints to separate ways content in the game, which was originally added content to Resident Evil 4 back upon its initial release. I think it was like on the GameCube version and then later added to the other versions of the game. This is all backed up by a reputable insider that says it's on the cards and likely to be more substantial than the original version of the DLC. When do you think we could see this materialize, James? If you
I
were
think
to
it'll be
make a
this year.
prediction. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of people are like, oh, the Village DLC took so long, but that was never planned. Like they never started off like with that in plan. But if you
Where they
play
had the
Resi
bones
4,
of this already.
yeah, if you played like RE4 Remake and like you do get into the story, like all of the stuff that Ada's doing is slightly different and it's been changed slightly. And you can see why, like they've built the campaign around the hooks, I guess, to see what she's doing. As an example, you guys most of you probably played Past the Bell at the beginning.
Yeah.
In the original, like in separate ways, you played as her first chapter was like she realizes Leon's in trouble, so she's the one who rings the bell. Like in the original, like do you know what I mean? Like they weave her through the story. I don't know if that's going to be the same this time. But like, yeah, I'm excited at the idea of this being expanded and better because the original one was quite shit. Like, I know it was fun to play as Ada and do all this stuff in the shadows, but like, it was clearly added on afterwards, and yeah.
She's a cool character. I'm glad to see
She
more of
is.
her.
She's the best.
Brody, to come to you. RE4 Remake has had its biggest, most successful launch on Steam. Why do you think RE4 is kind of the one making the biggest waves?
I don't know. I think Resident Evil's obviously very hot at the minute. Like, it's I don't know, with 7 obviously I think was the start of the new Resi wave, I would say, and then they've just sort of kept getting bigger from there. Obviously, as it's been alluded to many times, 4 was a very revered game when it came out originally, and I think there was a lot of excitement around this, and obviously the word of James himself, everyone would have been excited to hear that he backed it, so I think that's just created a swell for the game that, Do we know how many concurrents there were on Steam at this point?
I don't. No, I don't have that in my notes here, but I could look it up.
That's all right. I was just wondering.
I'm glad to
think,
see
like,
that the momentum
it's good
seems
numbers.
to continue growing for Resident Evil.
I think
I'm
Resident
very
Evil
much on
found a
the
lot of new
bandwagon.
fans in the past. Yeah, like
Yeah,
you and,
like me.
There's not a lot else
as an
like
example.
it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the only franchises that still plays the same way that it did, say 10 years ago, but is still good, like still compelling. And 2 especially, there was so much nostalgia and buzz around that. I know 7 is great, and that will always hold a special place in my heart because it like brought the brand back. But like I think 2, like everyone was like, what's the deal with this game? And like even though it's not the same 2 as obviously what it was in 1998 or 9 or whatever, it still had the same vibe, and there really isn't any big budget. I think that's the other thing as well, is like before Resi, the horror games were all kind of, I'm not gonna say indie trash, but like a lot of just like very cheap indie games where it's like first person, run away from something, or do you know what I mean? Like it
Slender
wasn't-
Man.
Yeah, like there was nothing really to them. Whereas with like Resi, like, and they are games where, they're still scary or tense. Some of them are scary for some people, I guess. But they have like really solid gameplay systems underneath, and I think that's the difference. And 4 is everything that the original game was, but like just with a AAA like coat of paint over the top of it to play better today. Like you couldn't run and shoot or crouch in the original, but now you can in the remake. But yeah, like I think that's why. I think, but
I've really gained an appreciation for them as well, because I can see, like, going back to these remakes, the impact that they've had on the industry as a whole. And like I know it's been a bone to pick with you, James, because I'm such a big Last of Us fan, but going back and like playing these games, I can see how the Last of Us came to be, and like the inspiration is taken from these games. So I think
like every over the shoulder third person action adventure game has something to owe to RE4. Like I'm not even being like before.
But I mean, like
there
fighting
really
the
was no
Rat
game
King
like
in
it.
the Part 2 in Last of Us Part 2, like that
in the
is
hospital. Yeah,
that is
like classic,
a Resident Evil,
which is like one of my highlights of The Last of Us 2. I love that battle so much. I think it's like so well choreographed, and the set piece is really great.
Yeah.
And it does feel like an RE2 battle.
Yeah,
But
you
that's
could
a good
literally
thing,
copy
like-
and paste it into a Resident Evil game, or like vice versa, and it would be the same. Yeah. Very cool. Okay, well, we're going along, but I do have maybe just like a string of questions we just kind of like rapid fire through. Firstly, I want to start with the Avatar screenshot that came out. You feel free to go a little bit long on these if you want to, but it's the
We
first
always do.
supposed in-game screenshot of the Avatar game that Ubisoft have on the cards. How do we rate it? Is anyone excited by this screenshot of the game?
I've never been
Not
turned off a game
particularly.
quicker. Yeah.
James?
I just had imagined it would be
Like
honestly,
Assassin's Creed, but
a
Avatar.
typical Ubisoft open world game, like really lush
Yeah.
with color. It just seems like a bland Titanfall ripoff based on that screenshot.
Yes, literally what I thought. Yeah.
I think that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the original 360 game like first person and third person?
I don't know.
Does
I
anyone
don't know.
remember?
I don't know.
I
if
feel like
anyone
when you
played
played as the soldiers.
Yeah,
Hold
it
on,
was
let me just
first
quickly look it up,
person.
sorry.
And I feel like that's how I'm envisioning it still. Because open world
just
first
quickly
person
looking.
action adventure game. Like it can't just be.
I just
run
feel
and
like
gun.
with an IP like
Okay.
Avatar, it just seems like someone inspired to make it a first person.
To be
shooter.
fair,
so-
it's a leak
Yeah.
as well. Like it's not how
Yeah.
they planned on showing it.
I don't think we should draw too much from that one screenshot. I think that there's going to be first person and third person elements to it. Like I think that it will be maybe like when you're a soldier potentially.
Do you think they could do
first person shooter, but then third person when you're like maybe in your avatar you're like a Na'vi, like swinging and flying and.
Do you think they could do an Aliens vs Predator with it? And it's like dual roles in a campaign. Like you play a soldier for half of it, and Na'vi for the other half.
I don't know if it's going to be. Yeah, it depends on the structure, I guess. Like I still see this being open world because isn't this massive? Like the Division studio.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
It's all Ubisoft have.
Yeah, I can't really. Oh, wow. They're an interesting publisher, aren't they? Now.
That's one word.
But yeah. I think. Yeah, I think it'll be both. I think this is a very This is why I had like leaks. I imagine working on this game and everyone's seen this screenshot and now they've decided that it looks shit.
And I feel like this
like,
one could have been leaked for any reason. Like it could have been, it looked the worst or most uninteresting. So the person leaked that one. Like you just don't know the context of it.
Yeah, there's another one that's come out where like someone's riding a big giant moth. No.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm confused
cool.
about. Because I thought you were meant to be playing as the Na'vi, right? Like, so why do you see like a gun in the screenshot? I mean,
I haven't seen. Can I just? I haven't seen the new movie, but is it still about like?
Yeah,
you have
like
an
people.
Avatar, like you have a person who can become a blue person. Yeah, okay. So like they could split. They could easily have some kind of gameplay loop around both. You know.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying, but then I guess the
totally
hands
different.
in that leak. The hands in that leak are blue, so like I can't imagine Na'vis with guns. Like I don't know if that also happens in the movie, but the new
I think
one...
it happened in both, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like even looking at the reveal screenshots, like that was like a bow and arrow first person, and I got Far Cry Primal vibes from that. So like I think there's a mix for sure. Maybe even just taking a gun away from someone to finish them off. Like that's what I mean. Like this one screenshot has like no context at all.
Yeah,
but I doubt it's just a shooter.
I'm with Brody. I was
fire,
hoping for like more of an
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, even like Horizon sort of vibe from it.
I reckon that we'll have that vibe, but it'll just be like Far Cry.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I still feel like I'm really shocked we haven't heard any more about this, considering Avatar's like come and gone now.
And it's meant to be this year, this release. Like, where's the game?
When's Avatar 3 meant to be coming out?
Next year, isn't it? End of next year. So I guess there's going to be one every 2 years for the next 10 years. So
yeah, I guess they get plenty of opportunities to release the game. All right, let's seriously step into the rapid fire element now then. Elden Ring's latest update adds ray tracing. Currently, do we care about ray tracing, Shannon? Does it still excite you?
I don't think so. Not as much as it... Yeah, no.
Brody?
Not as much. In the right context, maybe.
Yeah, I'm the same. No, I'd much prefer high frame rates. James?
Yeah, no. It's not anywhere near as transformative as I think.
We're all hugely excited about ray tracing.
Yeah.
All right,
just move on now. It's never worth the hit, I think, is the best, especially on consoles. Like,
maybe one day when we can get everything, high frame rates, and
PS5
ray tracing and all that, sure. But yeah, not for the time being. All right, rapid fire question number 2 then. A darker, more mature Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is in development, inspired by the Last Ronin comic book run and the more recent God of War games. What series would you like to see given a dark, gritty video game treatment? I'll go first and say Avatar: The Last Airbender. I reckon that would be sick. Just like in that universe would be sick. Shannon?
Ape Escape.
I think... No, I was going to say Ape Escape, but then I was going to say Jack and Daxter only because that was rumored, and I feel like a top Brady was maybe going to say, so I just...
That already was dark.
It was going to be, yeah.
It doesn't have to be a game, by the way.
Though.
Doesn't have to be a game.
No, just
it's a gaming
anything.
podcast, so I feel like it's nice for it to be a game.
We're talking about it becoming a game, but it can be any sort of series.
Let me just live in my Jack fantasy Ape Escape as well.
Brody, what's your answer?
Power Rangers.
Hell yes. That's a great shout. James?
He was going to say Power Rangers too, so now he has to think.
No, I wasn't. Like Bluey or Jaws?
Oh.
One of... Make it happen.
Both together.
Or do a crossover.
A mashup.
Is Jaws not already kind of gritty.
Yeah.
No,
I thought that was a
it's
pleasant
time for-
film.
It's gritty. Like, it's not uplifting.
It's not yeah.
I wouldn't say it's
it
dark necessarily, but it's not.
It's time to make a comeback. I can't think of anything else. Like, I mean,
How weird
love
someone on Twitter is
Jaws.
watching Jaws right now. That's odd. Did you also see that?
No,
Because it's just
I'm
the
not
most
Shannon,
Shannon, pay
random.
attention to the
right now.
podcast.
Subliminally. It's probably on like Channel 7 tonight or something.
yeah, maybe
Every
yeah.
night.
That's me, all up on my. Channel
Anyway,
7 knowledge.
what the wiki,
Alright.
hey? Let's go.
Let's play What
Yeah.
the Wiki, the Press Start podcast game show where the previous week's winner reads part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game and we, the contestants, must guess the game. Point is awarded for each correct guess and the round ends after someone is awarded 2 points. Currently tied in equal first place, we have Brody, James, myself, and Kieran all tied on 7 points each.
Wow.
And Shannon just behind on 5 points. As
With the
last
most
week's
appearances, by the
winner-
way.
With the most
You know what to
appearances.
let happen, boys. Let's tie this up. Fatal 5-way.
As last week's winner, Kieran wanted to be in the hosting chair today, but unfortunately couldn't join this week's recording, so I will cover in his place. Game number 1. The game is a graphic adventure played from a third-person view. The player takes control of an 18-year-old photography student who's time rewinding... Brody?
Life is Strange.
It is Life is Strange. Nice, easy one to kick you off there. And Brody jumps out into the lead on 8
Borzo.
points. Game number 2. The game is a free-to-play action role-playing third-person shooter multiplayer online game.
Brody.
Brody?
Nah, you said third person. I'll step back.
You're out. You're bearing out.
Wind it back. Okay. Developed and published by Digital Extremes.
Brody.
Set in the... Brody.
Warframe.
It is Warframe. Holy shit. He's not messing around.
Bang.
Well, you started
How
with
do
the
you-
dumbest fucking line, Ewan. That was dud.
What do
Anyway.
you mean I
No,
started
nothing.
with the
All good.
dumbest line?
Well done,
Cheers,
Brody.
boys.
Well, congrats, Brody. Well done.
He's got a
Enjoy your
beer
point.
ready to hand. He just cracks it straight away. Amazing. With that, let's bring an end to what was this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice. Follow us at pressstart.au and visit the site at pressstart.com.au. We've been joined today by Shannon. I think he's frozen on my screen. I think we might have just lost him right at
He's
the
posing on our screen as well. Someone screen grab that.
end. Also joining us today was Brody.
Yep, thank you. You can follow me on most things at Brody_DG. Do what I'm about to do, because I'm about to play Resident Evil 4, and go to the site and check out all of James's nice guides. He's done a great job.
Good. Nice little plug for James there, who also joined us on the show.
Yes, I'm here. You can follow me at JamesATJAMZ on Twitter.
And I've been
Finding
your
out all
host.
the cool. No, it's fine.
I always do this to you, James. I'm so sorry. Go on. Go on.
Guy, not interested. Move on. Let's
And I've
wrap
been
this
your
up.
host, Ewan Roxburgh. You can follow me on Twitter at Ewan_Roxburgh. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, happy gaming.
Bye!
Bye.